Mm-hmm.
Are you logged on?
Yeah.
Okay.
David's here too. David
David's
just got
here
in.
too.
Yeah. Mute myself.
Howdy, young folks.
Recording in progress. Hi, Aditi. Hariom. Is Jim in the call or not yet?
Hola,
Oh, hi. Hi, Jim. Hariom.
Hariom.
I'm gonna be in my car.
Oh,
How are you?
I need a car too.
Did you drop the tablet?
Did I what?
Did you drop the tablet?
No, I'm just moving around like I was in a car driving.
Oh. No, I'm not
Because
driving.
I'm silly. I'm silly. If you take psyllium, do you become silly?
Oh, now it is.
Mo better?
How are you, Jim?
I'm really well.
That's good.
Really well.
I'm doing well too. Thank you.
This is good. I need to finish a text here.
Okay.
I received an email from a new student who zoomed in for the Monday night class and has been a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner for 30 years, period. In his email, he talked about the impermanence of consciousness as a fundamental Buddhist teaching.
Impermanence of consciousness. I
I'm
thought
not
consciousness
quite
was
sure.
ever-
I'm not quite sure how to respond. I was sending a text. I'm sorry,
So-
dear.
Sorry about that.
All done.
The impermanence of consciousness. I thought consciousness was ever present.
What it depends on what word in Sanskrit we're translating as consciousness. So Nisargadatta Maharaj translates the word Chaitanya as consciousness, which is different than Chit, which is pure awareness, pure being. And I had asked my dear friend Vilasini, who's a much better Sanskritist than I, what the distinction is between Chaitanya and Chit. And Chitta, actually no, Chaitanya and Chitta. So I want to see what her response is before I respond to the email I got this morning.
Could it be that Chitta refers to the individual consciousness, whereas Chaitanya refers to the whole?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Mm. Okay.
But I'm not sure.
Mm.
I'm not sure. She will know.
Mm. Yeah.
I think in terms of like the names of all the brahmacharis.
Mm-hmm.
and so is Soham Chaitanya or Anike Chaitanya or Arpita Chaitanya. So this is in reference to those individual people.
Yeah, that's true.
But in a sense, there's not anything real called an individual mind anyway.
Right,
So it all depends on what from level you're speaking.
right.
But I don't want to respond to his email until I get a little bit better understanding about a subtle linguistic distinction.
Yeah.
Are you still there, Cecily?
I am. I was just hearing what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
David, are you here?
Howdy, Jim.
Hariom.
Just a reminder, I'm traveling out of town tomorrow. I'll be gone until after the 4th.
All right, well, enjoy your trip.
Thank you very much.
Scott just joined us as well.
Good morning, Scott.
Hi.
Great, Scott.
These modern day Zoom bombers are like the new Rakshasas.
I wish there were a way to just let them stay online, but mute them
Yeah.
so that they could listen.
Exactly.
It's funny. So I am having eye surgery next month.
Oh.
On the 15th, cataract surgery.
wow.
Nothing serious. I've already had my right eye done a few years ago, and now I'm having my left eye done. But the thing is, it will preclude being able to do class probably that evening. I'll probably still have stupid juice in my veins.
Wow.
They don't give you a general anesthetic. They just give you an anti-anxiety drug and just IV, and then you're, But it's on the 15th, which is a Thursday.
Well, may the force be with you.
Yes. So if I lose the eye, it won't be much of a loss.
Nice.
Oh, let's see.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How's Belize?
Very well. About 85 degrees, breezy, hardly any clouds.
That's good.
Did Mark say he was going to be away? I can't remember.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't be here today.
So it may just be the twos of us. How far through our book are we?
We're about, I think, a third of the way through.
Oh, it's going fast.
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Actually, probably more. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, about a third of the way through.
Susali,
Yes, Jim.
are you interested in regularly attending this Wednesday morning group?
Well, I just got out of work, and it wouldn't be like consistently every week.
Okay. The reason I asked is I know you've been keen on me doing the Nara Bhakti Sutra, the book on devotion. And
Oh, is that what's next?
well, I have said that I would do that next on Mondays, and then I also said we would do Essence of Yoga Vasishta on Monday. So I've got to make a decision which one we'll do next. And I was thinking if you were going to do because I know you were interested in that Narada Bhakti Sutra.
Yeah.
That we might take that up next
Yes.
on Wednesday mornings. But if you're not doing it regularly,
Yeah.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. I can also book because I have, I book my jobs, so I can just book Wednesday mornings. If
But
you're gonna do
we
that
won't,
text.
We won't decide for another month or so. So we
Okay.
have about
Just let me
another 3-4 weeks of the Monday night class, so I don't need to decide right away. All right, I think
Okay.
it's time to sit. Yes. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So where are we in our text?
We are on January 12th, 1981. It's on page 40.
Are we still all online, people?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Maharaj, referring to his lighter, the flame will last as long as the fuel is there. Is there any question of emancipation or awakening for that flame? The body and consciousness which come into being because of the 5 elements, can there be any emancipation for them? The one who is prior to the appearance of the elements is always there.
Yes. So let's again make sure we understand this difference in nomenclature. The translator here is translating the word Chaitanya as consciousness. Chaitanya is the various states of mind. We are aware of it, so I can have happy consciousness, sad consciousness, ignorance, knowledge. All of those are movements in the Chaitanya. That's different than how Swamiji translates it. Swamiji translates Chit as consciousness and awareness interchangeably. He would probably translate Chaitanya as states of consciousness, or more accurately, mind. So again, when Maharaj here says that the consciousness and the body are all made up of the subtle elements, he's not talking about the ground of being here. Any thoughts or questions about that? All right, going on.
What you are doing is using your mind and intellect, but what I say is not based on the intellect, but rather on whatever comes up spontaneously in consciousness. You try to fix that knowledge which springs spontaneously from consciousness into the structure of concepts you have built out of the mind and intellect. This can never happen. Questioner, why do I feel such satisfaction here in Maharaj's presence? Maharaj, because that need which arises in consciousness and brings you here is satisfied. Some people come here for knowledge. I talk because the words naturally come out. There is no intention behind my talks that you should get knowledge. Others come here because they are in difficulties. I make no determination that those difficulties should go away, but the fact remains that in many cases they do go away. I merely sit here. People come and go. I am not concerned. They come here from long distances because the consciousness feels the need to come here. The individual doesn't come here because of an intellectual decision to come here. Consciousness takes him by the ear and brings him here.
So here again, he's talking about this illusion of an individual mind making individual free choices. He's implying this sense of connectedness. So Aditi and I were talking before class about, is Chaitanya universal awareness or universal mind as opposed to individual? And I think actually the answer is there is no individual mind. That's the illusion. So why do I do what I do? And there's a Christian term which I love, and it's called the salvific principle. So it's this idea of a universal Christ from the beginning of creation. there's a movement towards the infinite within the material world. So as we come into this world, because of using the Hindu nomenclature, because of Maya, we're in ignorance. But there's something within us that's always moving us towards the infinite. Excuse me, got a tickle in my throat. So, what is the dharma of a human being? The dharma of a human being is God consciousness, self-realization. We look at it from two standpoints. First of all, the one constant of all people is I know I am. Never goes away. But within the human mind, there's always a yearning for union, a yearning for deep peace. Now listen very carefully. From the moment you get up in the morning until the moment your head hits the pillow, the mind is only engaged in one activity. It seeks the good and it avoids sorrow by its understanding of both. That's all I do all day long. That yearning for the good is the impetus for God. You must give up your worldly desires and instead have mumukshutva, the desire for liberation. Actually, there's no such thing as worldly desire. Doesn't exist. All desire is a desire for the infinite. We just don't know it. I desire, object of desire. When desire and object of desire become one, for a moment the mind has ceased its longing. I get a taste of my own self-nature. But in my ignorance, I think it's the object. So we have these two forces. There's karma. We go around in a wheel. This didn't do it, maybe that'll do it. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if. If that were the only force, we'd be going around in circles for eternity. But that's not the only impetus. Underneath that circle is this divine discontent, this pressure. And in time, we move towards the infinite. So when we use the word dharma, the nature of a thing or the essence of a thing, without which it would not be the thing it is. It's the nature of fire to burn, it's the nature of sugar to be sweet, etc. It can also describe a process. For example, it is the dharma of a river to flow from its higher elevation to the lake or the ocean, wherever it ends up. If it isn't flowing, then it's something else. It's a river, it's a glacier, it's something else. But a river moves through time and space. So the dharma of a human being is God consciousness. That means, from one viewpoint, I am. But it also means at the level of my mind, where am I going? What do I want? Purpose, meaning, peace, contentment, something sacred. However you want to name that salvific principle. Swamiji used to say it's an evolution, not a revolution. But by using the word evolution, he was implying this inevitability. Everybody's coming home to God, just like the river comes home to the ocean. Any thoughts or questions about this? So that same impulse is what brought these disciples to Maharaj. Some come because they have problems. Some come because they want knowledge. Some come just out of an indescribable love. This is where I'm supposed to be. I don't even know why I'm here. But I yearn for whatever is here. It's a marvelous, marvelous process. Any thoughts? Going on.
Consciousness takes him by the ear and brings him here. My next door neighbors don't come, but people from all corners of the world come here with a sense of urgency. Why? Questioner. The first time I came here, Maharaj told me that my I amness was a food product, and that Lord Krishna's consciousness was the same as a donkey's consciousness. I tried to get a reservation out of Bombay that day, but I couldn't get one for a week, and I had to stay. Maharaj.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing. I love his very earthy language. So the I am the individual is a product of food. It's material, meaning the ahankriti, the ego sense. But the ground of being of the donkey and the ground of being of the human are the same. What is different is the equipment, the upadhis. Going on.
Maharaj. Many talented and well-known people have come here, but they come with great humility. Is there any one of them who has knowledge about himself? Questioner. I am practicing Nam Japa. Is that all right? Maharaj. Recite the sacred name. That is all right. But the important thing is to recognize and understand what is the presiding principle by which you know you are and by which you perceive everything else.
Yes, so this is a term that may not be familiar to Westerners. Nam Japa. Nam means name. Japa means the silent repetition. So this person is doing Rama, 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 or Hare Krishna, or some other name of the Lord. And what he's saying is that's groovy, but it's not as productive as self-inquiry. Going on.
You must look at yourself, get to know yourself. The riddle of spirituality cannot be solved by your intellect. At the most, your intellect can provide you with livelihood. Whatever you try to become, that is not you. Before the words come out, before you say, I am, that is you. You must be concerned only with yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. What are you? January 14th, 1981. Maharaj. The ultimate state is that state in which nothing exists, neither I, nor you, nor manifestation. Questioner. Can Maharaj describe the ultimate state? Maharaj. Can I cut up my sleep and make a design of it? Disassociate yourself from your body and tell me something about that. Can you describe it? My talks are not meant for normal human beings. The normal person's field of understanding does not go beyond his own body. The one who identifies with the body is the consciousness itself. It It mistakenly assumes that it is the body and behaves as if its unlimited potential has been limited by this one single phenomenon. Therefore, with this identification, whatever behavior the consciousness adopts will be limited by the body. The one who understands this ultimate meaning of life gets disassociated from the body, and a transformation takes place. The consciousness is universal, universal like the day, universal like the night. To that principle, you cannot give a name or a title. Who is the one who knows that there was no day, no night? The consciousness was not there. Day and night, remembering and forgetting, the waking state and the deep sleep state, are they one and the same thing, or are they separate? The capacity of consciousness is something astounding. I didn't know I was, and then suddenly I knew I am. This I amness is the power of Maya. Questioner: is the desire to be free wrong? Maharaj: there is nothing happening. Nobody is bound. Therefore, there is no question of liberation. It is only when one thinks of himself as an individual that he thinks of bondage and liberation.
So let me rephrase what he said. Both bondage and liberation occur to the consciousness, to the mind. Shankara would say to the Vijnana Maya Kosha, to the subtlest part of the intellect. The self is already liberated. It's already free. It never changes. Your self does not get realized. What is my bondage? There is no other bondage than Jiva Bhavana, the deeply rooted feeling, belief that I'm a person, meaning I'm the body. This is not just thoughts that go by. Just like in the dream state, my mind creates a dream body and then identifies with it. And when I wake up from the dream, where does the dream ego go? Does it get liberated? Gone. So this Jiva Bhavana, this feeling that I'm a person, that's what goes away. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted bhavana in the mind, feeling. Not that I'm an enlightened person, but I am that grounded being. Aham Brahmasmi. And that all this is nothing but the play of consciousness. And none of that touches yourself. And what he's been stressing in these last talks, the bija vasana, the seed attachment, is I am the body. And your body is an object of awareness, just like looking at a jar. Any thoughts? Going on.
Whatever concepts you have collected in this world are totally useless. Understand that the total manifestation is the child of a barren woman. But having understood this, Give full attention to your work and let that work be done as efficiently possible. Take good care of this work that you do in the world because it is an orphan. January 17th, 1981. Questioner. In consciousness, is there doership and also witnessing? Maharaj. Everything is in the realm of consciousness. Questioner. Are all the actions in the world being done through consciousness? The movement of the 5 elements also? Maharaj. The sum total of the 5 elements is consciousness. Questioner.
Let's talk a little bit about these 5 elements, which he's making reference here. Earth, air, fire, water, and space. They are related to perception itself. Earth is something's smellability. Air is something's touchability. Fire is something's seeability. Water is something's tasteability. And space is hearability. So human consciousness and everything about it is some combination of those tanmatras, those 5 elements. Now, what I'm fascinated by is sharks. I can't remember what they call the little pits on their nose, but they can sense electromagnetism. They have a sense, a 6th sense. There are creatures with no eyes that live in the deep of the ocean. They have different ways of contacting a phenomenal world. So even these 5 elements, in my opinion, are a little bit limited and arbitrary, but it's just stuff that forms into various perceptions, an individual perceiver, and stuff perceived in all sorts of ways. This becomes easy to understand if you go to the dream state. All the phenomena of the dream, the various modes of perception in the dream, and the perceiver itself of the dream. It's all just imagination, all just consciousness, to use his language. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
Questioner. It's beautiful to praise this consciousness by consciousness, no? Maharaj. Oh yes. Whatever you are, only you know. In the body is only the knowledge, no person. For practical purposes, you use various names. Questioner. In the body, why is this consciousness saying I, you, etc.? Maharaj. Consciousness is one, but it manifests into many. So for practical purposes, you say I, you, etc. Questioner. My consciousness is due to this body, sustained by this body, not other bodies. Maharaj. In your consciousness, all the bodies are there. Questioner.
So again, we have this illusion of my individual mind, my individual consciousness. It only appears that way. And again, it doesn't mean we have to talk funny. Anybody see a beautiful sunset yesterday? Oh, yes. No, you didn't. You saw an earth spin. We just don't say that. because it's linguistic convention. So it's a matter of deep understanding, not tortured use of language. Going on.
Questioner. Maharaj said that I am not in the body, that the body is in me. Maharaj, if you are an author, a number of books are potentially in your pen. Since when did you realize that you are? Questioner. When the body and consciousness appeared. Maharaj, the sum total of my spirituality now is nothing. Even that word nothing is not there, so there is no spirituality left. Suppose I do not like my body, or even the vital breath. What can I do? The body is there, vital breath is there, and therefore this I amness is there. They are functioning by themselves. Why should I worry about it? It is having its play, let it have it. So long as that knowingness, I amness, is there, that attraction will be there for others. The knowingness is the outcome of the food body. When this body is consumed, where is that I amness? There is no such thing as spirituality. Whatever is only this worldly life in the 5 elemental play.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, there are various kinds of people. Some become teachers, some become lawyers, some become farmers, and some become spiritual. It's just another Vyavahara. Doesn't make you better or more important than the next person. And the farmer and the lawyer and the teacher all have a body. They all have feelings and thoughts. They all have various states of consciousness, to use his language. And all of that exists in being. There's no difference in the end. Going on. Did you have a thought?
No, I was just giggling. There is no such thing as spirituality. Whatever is only this worldly life in the 5 elemental play. You are nothing better than vegetation. Just as grass is growing, human beings are growing. Will anybody accept this? Birth is a material aspect. If you are yourself alone, that state will not be felt. But if there is a foreign element, only then the suffering starts. On you, the original, this foreign element is imposed. That is why it is suffering. You will not inquire into what you are. Because you are intellectuals, you will prepare delicacies out of your intellect, and you will go on eating that. Even in spirituality, you employ your intellect. You prepare so many delicacies out of your concepts, and you relish them. Take a hint from what I have said, that you experience the world at all is the result of somebody's fun. Now it has become the source of misery. Questioner, is it possible to be in a wordless state? Maharaj, can you live without words? Words are very necessary. Questioner, we are prisoners of our own concepts. Maharaj, just inquire into that birth principle. You are, because you are, the father and mother are. It's a simultaneous happening. Because of their action, you are, and at the same time, you have parents. Without their bodies, what are they? Try to understand what they could be without their bodies. Ignore that action because of which you are. And then try to recognize what the parents are. As a result of these two presences, there is a third presence, I am. Now, will you clear out those concepts of yours about parents? January 20th, 1981. Maharaj, earlier the knowledge used to overwhelm me, and I would invite people to listen to the talks. But that time is gone now. Now I don't encourage people. I don't keep people here for very long. I give them a dose of knowledge and send them away. It is most incredible in the guise of that little so-called birth. Everything has happened. Not only the I amness, but the whole manifest world has appeared. Is it believable? Actually, I am not, but I feel that I am because of the incident of that birth. When you get this knowledge, you will realize that knowledge of this world and consciousness are not even worth your spit.
So what he's saying is even the impulse in consciousness, which impelled him to want to share this experience and brought people to hear it from him, even that is wearing out for him. There's less and less of Maharaj. One of the metaphors I like to use is here in my living room is the ceiling fan, which has great bearings. Right now, the fan is on, there's juice turning the fan. It's like the person who's impelled by egoism. I want this, I want to do that, I want to accomplish such and such. But when knowledge dawns on the mind, when that ego sense is exploded and gone, it's like flipping the switch and turning off the juice. Now the fan doesn't instantly stop. It continues to turn for a while. That's prarabdha karma. So the equipment of the jnani is seen to function in the world. But there's no juice left. Just as the fan slows down more and more. So for Maharaj, everything is kind of falling away. As his body is disintegrated by the cancer, even that impulse to teach is going away. Funny, towards the end of Swamiji's life, he was physically suffering quite a bit. He had really, really severe heart trouble. And I heard him say once that it was the desires of his disciples that wouldn't let him go. Our love of him, our desire to hear from him is what was keeping him in the body. He was an overdue book. Finally, as much as we loved him, wasn't enough. Down he went. He was done. Going on.
When you get this knowledge, you will realize that knowledge of this world and consciousness are not even worth your spit. You can spit it out. It will be unworthy. I appeal to you with my folded hands. Don't get into this spirituality. Whatever knowledge and concepts you are having, only that final spark is to be applied. You have everything. The raw material is already with you. The symbol of birth and death is already removed. The factual state of affairs is open, very clear, but nobody wants to look at it. Translator. He has preference for simple devotion to God. In people with devotion, even with limited intellect, the intellect is not making mischief, as it is here. Maharaj. This is the place where the intellect gets annihilated. I was created and possessed by the five elemental ghost, but having stabilized in the Parabrahman, I know what it is and I am out of it. Now, just see how I am possessed by these elemental essences. I am addicted to chewing tobacco. Despite the advice of doctors not to do it, I am still doing it. That is because I am possessed by the essence of these elements. Space is indicative of the world. In that space, the world is. Space is like an incipient world. The world is not there, but the material of the world is there. From there, I start feeling I am. With air, the movement is there. With fire, the heat. With water, all seeds and everything else. And because of water, the taste is there. But you are dispossessed of these elements because of the Satguru. Satguru, Parabrahman, is all love for no knowingness. Because of your association with this Satguru, it means illumination for you. I don't feel like talking at all. I want to go into a sort of silence. My present talks, if they are really understood, require no more discipline or sadhana. They should click right then and there. Questioner. At one time, there were a number of saints of the highest order. Why was it that suddenly there were so many saints at that period? Maharaj. At that time, the devotion was so strong that the very object of meditation would take a complete shape in front of the meditator.
This is something that's very important. It's the yearning of the disciple that creates the Guru. Mistrust anybody who sets out a shingle and goes into the Guru business. That's all I'm going to say on that.
At that time, the devotion was so strong that the very object of meditation would take a complete shape in front of the meditator. Because of that devotional state, the whole atmosphere was imbued with that devotion. Now it is only with the intellect. People are not going to accept anything blindly because their intellect has become more subtle, like space. They are going to pick and choose, to analyze everything. January 24th, 1981. Maharaj, listen to what I am saying, but do not expect to benefit in any way by what you hear, because to benefit, there must be an entity, and there is no entity. Since I have had this disease, there has been a slight change in the way I look at things. Earlier, I had felt that there was a slight touch of individuality, to the extent that I felt that this universal consciousness was acting through a particular form. Now there is not the slightest touch of any individual form nor functioning. There is now cognition of total functioning as such, but even that will last only so long as the body lasts. In that body there is consciousness, and both are material. In all this, there is no question of any entity cognizing anything as separate. Instead, there is total functioning through various millions of forms. I have identified the disease with the total consciousness. Questioner: what remains when consciousness goes? Maharaj: nothing phenomenal remains. The present talks are the culmination or termination of spiritual understanding. The more the physical pain is observed, the more it is being realized that everything is illusory. Questioner: Maharaj has reached the destination. We have not. Maharaj: there was a house, and in the house there was a person. Now the person is gone, and the house is demolished. The sum total is whatever experiences you have, whether for a day or for years, it is all an illusion. The experiences begin with knowingness. What is the most ingrained habit you have? It is to say, I am. This is the root habit. Words and experiences are unworthy of you. This habit of experiencing will not go until you realize that all this domain of the 5 elements and the experiences in the 5 elements are unreal. This I amness itself is unreal. January 29th, 1981. Maharaj: you must give up identity with the body. Abidance in that knowledge I am, which does not identify with the body-mind, is the spiritual light. Self-love and I am without words are the same. The sickness may come and go, but the self-love does not go. Questioner: the realization of self does not come. Maharaj: who says that? Without the knowingness, who could say anything? Questioner: knowingness must exist because there is something to be known. Maharaj: you have come here with the idea that you are full of knowledge, full of wisdom. So what is your idea of knowledge? You are very seasoned, having roamed about in all corners of the world. Questioner: I know that I am not full of knowledge. Maharaj: why do you tell a lie? Questioner: the books speak of that ultimate joy and fulfillment which is the result of knowledge. Maharaj: you are not going to meet it because you are it. Would you go out to meet yourself? Questioner: no, I come here. Maharaj: before you knew you were, did you have knowledge or ignorance? In the absence of consciousness, who could say I am? Long silence. You have all gone into quietude. Questioner: every thought, every feeling in consciousness is changing all the time. I cannot be the changing. I am the changeless consciousness, which enables thoughts to pass. That is how I understand it. Is that right? Maharaj: how deluded you are. Questioner: what I am trying to do is to stop identification with the thoughts and feelings and not be possessed by them, as I use them as pointers to the highest consciousness. Maharaj: then why do you talk? The pointers of your feelings and your thoughts are yourself, and that is consciousness. So consciousness and yourself are one. Questioner: I want to get away from the pain. Maharaj: the mind is deluding you, is cheating you. Questioner: so I am the pain, and I should be happy to be the pain? Maharaj: focus your attention on you are the happiness, then the pain will diminish. You assume that you have knowledge. You have developed a pride that you have knowledge. So for testing yourself, you have come here. Questioner. I cannot help my pain by repeating that I am happiness. Maharaj speaks from his level. I haven't got that highest happiness to diminish the pain. Maharaj, that is because you are embracing your body as yourself. Questioner. Exactly. That is why I am using a trick to escape that. Maharaj. Very good. In the later stages, this consciousness is itself the pain. Until you recognize and completely identify yourself with the knowledge I am, you will identify with the body. That knowledge I am, you do not know her. Some others have no pride that they are knowledgeable. You alone are claiming all the knowledge and pride. Now, how many more days are you going to visit this place? Questioner. Until the 7th. Maharaj, you have been given answers to your questions. Why should you return? Questioner. Then these others do not have the knowledge, and that's why they can come back? Maharaj, you speak for yourself. Other people may be more knowledgeable than you. Why do you equate them with you? You have committed a grave offense by equating these people with the level of your wisdom. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about others. How dare you bother about others when you do not fully know yourself? Questioner, there is some link which binds us together. Maharaj, never criticize others. January 30th, 1981, in the morning.
So what he's just poking at this person about, which is a common trap. When our understanding itself becomes a possession. This is what Trungpa used to call spiritual materialism. And to me, the antidote is this, what Krishna says in Gita. He who knows it, knows it not. She who knows it not, knows it. Going on.
January 30th, 1981, in the morning. Maharaj, just as a person continues going to work every day because he wants to receive his wages, so you keep coming here because you want to gain knowledge. Once you have this knowledge, there is no need for you to stay any longer. Until you get the knowledge, you don't want to leave. Nevertheless, the only ones who should stay are those who feel a great urgency to know. Maharaj sends some more people away. I do not want casual seekers to stay here anymore. The only ones who should stay now are those who have a real anxiety about progressing spiritually, those who are earnest seekers. If you are an earnest seeker, you should accept my words as the truth, or you should leave, as I do not want merely to entertain you. And what am I telling you? You are not the body. You are the conscious presence. Accept it, and you can forget it. In future, I will not be able to go into the problems of each one of you. I will simply tell you, this is false, or this is the truth. You can accept what I say, or you can leave. Questioner, I don't have the capacity to accept what Maharaj has given me. Maharaj, if you don't think you have the capacity, then you can go elsewhere. I am not concerned with any state which is temporary. This consciousness state is not of my choosing. The sooner it goes, the better. Once it is known what is temporary and what one's original state is, no further knowledge is needed. As soon as consciousness stirred, space and time came. It has a time limit. In this space-time, everyone suffers. So why should I accept this suffering as something unique? I was always in that blissful, complete, total state. Suddenly, I am in this imperfect state. Those who have apperceived my knowledge will not fall a prey to the logic or spirituality expounded by others. I dare to say to any scholar who considers himself full of wisdom that when he was being born, I was watching his birth from a corner. Would you accept this? Questioner: yes. Why did consciousness arise at all? Maharaj: hang on to this consciousness which has come, and it will explain why it arose without cause. No one else can explain to you why and how it arose. It is the manifest consciousness which is continuously talking. I am not talking. How does the language emerge? Is it because of your efforts? If you grasp the essence of the talks which I am giving, you will illuminate the world. Those people who run about from place to place aimlessly will gather nothing. What is that you are after? Eknath, a country sage who has written wonderful poems, said, I am stung by a scorpion. What is that sting? It is the consciousness. This knowingness is the scorpion which is giving me all the pain in the form of various experiences and concepts. I am telling you, with the authority of a jnani, everything is unreal. This is all the play due to your consciousness, and your consciousness is due to the food essence body. Questioner: I am grateful to my body which has brought me here. Maharaj: you have come here just to commit suicide.
Because in the end, that's what happens. This mind sees its own fundamental unreality. The mind gets no personal sense of self is real. The mind gets, I can't think a real thought. The mind quits believing itself. It commits suicide. Beautifully put. Beautiful. Going on.
January 30th, 1981, in the evening. Maharaj: a real spiritual seeker ponders over these things all the time. When I have no body, what am I? What is the ultimate reality? The absolute state cannot be explained by words. Words are only pointers. You are that absolute, unchanging. Consciousness or the knowingness is homogeneous and one only. When you are in that state of consciousness, it is all one, all the same, only the expressions are different. Everything which gets consumed, exhausted, is unreal. Your knowingness will, in due course, be consumed, will disappear, so it cannot be real. But you can't just dismiss it, you must understand it fully. Presently, there are an infinite number of items in your associations with this world, because you have the association of the vital breath. Suppose that vital breath goes. What will happen then to all your associations with the world? This knowledge which has been expounded will not go to waste. Many people have taken advantage of it. The time will come when they will be enlightened also, and then they will expound knowledge. A jnani's state remains the same with or without the body. You should meditate. You should not lose what you have learned. When one disidentifies with the body, one transcends not only the body, but consciousness as well, since consciousness is a product of the body. The consciousness no longer says, I am, I am. January 31st, 1981. Maharaj, I deal with only two things. What is your identity, and what is your conviction about what you are? These questions cannot be discussed with everyone. I can speak of them only with those of you who are in earnest. There are those who have a lot of wisdom, but have not solved the riddle of I amness. Questioner, scientists have discovered in the last 10 years that if they don't observe the reactions of the atomic particles, the reactions remain as they are. If they do observe those reactions, there is a change. The very act of observing causes a change in that which is observed. Maharaj, the observer is also changing. What is being observed brings about a change in the observer. And unless that change is brought about in the observer cannot observe the object. Therefore, one can never get to the depth of spirituality. When you are cognizing something as an individual, where do you place yourself? Consciousness is that which is cognizing, the cognition, and that which is being cognized. You are only scratching the surface. It can't do you any good at all. What you hear must enter you like an arrow and hit something deep within you. There must be an internal reaction. Without the reaction, what you hear won't do you any good. You should know it when the arrow reaches its mark. February 5th, 1981. Questioner, it is very difficult to give up this attraction to the bodily identity. Maharaj, you have to find out what this body is, then the job is done. Initially, the body is very minute. The consciousness appears in the body, and then the tiny body changes into a large one. That causal body, which is very minute, needs to be known. By meditation, you can know it. The quality of that causal body takes on the appearance of the consciousness and the form. In this world, there are many species in all sizes. Initially, what was the size of each variety? At the point where you first feel knowingness, consciousness is not static. It is a continuous state, just like a wheel moving. The center of the wheel, the axle, is not moving. As you proceed from the center of the axle outwardly, the movement increases, does it not? Similarly, the beginning of consciousness is like the center of a wheel. That point is steady and constant. In a human being, that is the most constant principle. Since the day I was born until I am dead, that conscious principle is there at the center. As you merge into the world, the movement increases. Watch that center point. Watch that movement of consciousness. Chaitanya and Chetana, that central stationary point of the wheel, watches the movement of consciousness. The one that observes the movement is almost stationary. To bring about the actions of the world, the movement, consciousness must descend. If there is no consciousness, there is no worldly movement. Similarly, you must become stabilized in a more stationary position, near the center. When you leave that center point, the movement takes over. February 7th, 1981. Questioner: I am becoming more aware of my I amness as a product of the food body. Maharaj: you must be that principle prior to the emanation of the word I. Suppose I get a prick here. That principle prior to the emanation of words knows there was a prick. Prior to words and feelings, you are. How is it possible, questioner, how is it possible to know and feel that absolute? Maharaj: this knowingness or understanding is in the realm of consciousness. Whatever you say that you know and feel is consciousness only. The absolute is beyond this.
So again, whatever shifts happen take place in the Chaitanya. Nothing happens to yourself. I think we'll end here. Are we near the bottom of a page?
We're near the end of a section.
Let's finish this section.
Questioner: in practice, how can we go further? Maharaj: deal with the consciousness only. Get to know it thoroughly. That is all that can be done. Later on, everything happens spontaneously. Doership goes. Know the inside out of consciousness and recognize it as useless. It is a fraud. When you transcend it, you will say, I can manage without this. This is imperfect. Therefore, meditate in order to know the consciousness. Questioner: I have never been able to meditate. Maharaj: when you were unaware of this message of I am, how did you function? The questions I put, nobody can answer. All of you great scholars, people with a lot of knowledge, have gone into quietude. Questioner: my questions are answered. Maharaj: when your problems are solved, you are also solved. I want you to dwell on that borderline of consciousness, no consciousness. That's all.
Any thoughts? Get rid of them. We'll end here today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om. That's it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Aditi.